Siobhan Bailey. Siobhan.
Chairman Davis, it's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship, and I thank the honourable member for Cotswolds, my constituency neighbour, and we are both vociferous campaigners for the farmers that go across the Cotswolds and my valleys and Vale. I also thank the Minister who has taken the time to come to Stroud and speak to farmers and share our mighty Frampton Country Fair. I mean, I do think it is incredibly important that we have a DEFRA team that is stocked with farmers and people with real life experience. The same goes for our fantastic select committee chair, because it gives confidence that there is thinking and knowledge and experience behind these policies. But as you have heard today, and the Minister knows this, there is more work to do, and I think we would all agree. I mean, I could just say today, food, security, and sit back down, because ultimately they are really key points that farmers feel that this place, green carpet and red carpet, often forgets when we're trying to create fancy pants policies, improving and replacing the Common Agricultural Policy, which we all know needed to go. But if we don't get the farmers and the public to understand about this importance of food production, about the importance that if we don't get the country standing on its own 2 feet and feeding itself, when those sudden shocks in this increasingly uncertain world and things like the pandemic, hopefully it won't happen again, but if it does, and we're not ready and we're not able to look after ourselves, we're going to be in a very difficult place. And our farmers effectively earn a pittance. I think Jeremy Clarkson has done a really good job highlighting the real stretch to people that have probably never looked at the agriculture world before, and really understanding that he has toiled 7 days a week and actually what he's earned at the end of it was quite difficult. So the reality of when you're out on the farm every day and you're working the land is that there's no time for paperwork, there's no time for bureaucracy, and definitely no time to try and understand which particular scheme you're going to apply for now, whether to hold your horses and go for the next one that might be coming up. So there's quite a lot of nervousness, and I understand that. So even though the farmers are the custodians of our environment, they've been doing this for years, looking after our countryside. They have been thinking about the land and the trees and the environment and the species and the biodiversity even before, long before it was fashionable around city centre dinner tables, as has highlighted by my honourable friend to my right here. But ultimately, we're going to damage the pillars of food production and security if we don't get this right, and we're going to put farmers out of businesses. And that will hinder the ambitions with water quality, biodiversity, climate change adaptation, air quality, natural food management, coastal erosion mitigation, all things that both we want in this place, DEFRA wants, government wants, and our environmental groups in Stroud also want, but it won't happen. So just thinking on the practical points for what the farmers are dealing with. The NFU surveyed all their members, and 84% of farmers and growers are very clear that they're very interested in applying for ELMS. But my last meeting, I have regular meetings with my farmers in the NFU. I was in Slimbridge, the farm down there, diversifying, they're working really hard. There was a lot of hesitation and many concerns about these practicalities and the waiting game that they feel that they're in. So the anecdotal take that I kind of chopped up was the general lack of organisation and support around the ELMS has put off many farmers from engaging with it. So more needs to be done to make sure the schemes are attractive to farmers, to ensure that they engage. These are busy people. If they don't engage, nobody wins. That's the crux of it. Some farmers have already dropped out of the Sustainable Farming Incentive pilot due to the lack of timely information from DEFRA and the Rural Payments Agency. Food security, as I've already said, needs to be considered part of these schemes and vocally part of these schemes, or it is asking farmers to ignore the reason for which they farm, which is to feed the country. Farmers have asked me for details of the support scheme the Secretary of State explained to me was available when I raised this in the Chamber last year. There's still that lack of understanding about what is available to them. Again, highlight busy people out there doing their jobs. And sort of with my wetlands APPG hat on, I'm very proud to have Slimbridge Wetlands WWT in my patch. But we know that trees and forestry are definitely not the only gig in town for carbon capture. And indeed, wetlands can do far more than a lot of what is planted. And I've spoken to farmers who are really nervous. You know, they've seen the the carcasses of trees that they've planted with the plastic tubes in the past, and they get funding to put the trees in, but then there's nothing to support the maintenance of it. So they're nervous about that. So actually, can we have some sort of really clear thinking about things like wetlands and all the different options that are actually available and may do more good, notwithstanding the sort of fabulousness of trees. I don't want to be an anti-tree person. So the final point is that I'm very lucky to have the chair of the Next Generation Farmers in my patch, David Ratcliffe. We believe that elms could be, with these young farmers, a big source of resilience for farming businesses while delivering environmental outcomes. But they're in their, when they're in the early stages of their career and trying to grow, they're at the most vulnerable to price volatility. And we're seeing movement at the moment. For example, fertiliser prices per tonne at the moment are about £600 plus per tonne compared to £250 previously. So that's got to be thought through with our young entrants. And again, I've spoken to the Minister before, and she's kindly spoken to David as well. It's funding, it's the loans that are sort of not available to new entrants, it's the tenant farms that are going, it's the big rich people that are buying up land that would have historically been available. So I thank the Minister for all she does. I know she cares deeply about this, and I know that she will do everything in her power to make things better, but I think the practical elements need to be fixed very quickly. Thank you.